the matter with you? I saw it in your face the minute I came into the room.
I didn't know your outfit was new.
Don't tell lies, dear.
How should I know?
You knew all right.
I haven't seen you since the funeral.
You know it if I get a new handkerchief.
Well, you get so many new things, I can't keep track of them all.
If I knew they're paid for, and I wouldn't get them if I didn't need them.
I don't know why you needed another black outfit. You got one just a month ago for the funeral.
That other coat is too short. It makes me look too squat. It has absolutely no line from the shoulder to the hip, and I'm too jumpy. It is the one line I must have. If I don't have it, I might be sitting down.
Hey, Molly!
Hello, darling.
I haven't seen you since the funeral.
Well, how have you been, dear?
Oh, I've been fine, Annie. Thanks. How have you been?
Oh, just so, dear.
Did you leave everything all right there, Ruth?
Yes, I put the things back in the little shed.
I think you look a little thinner, Ruth.
Oh, no such luck, Aunt Ollie.
You look thinner to me, dear.
Well, it must be the black, for I weigh 122 pounds.
I was down at Dr. DeShanty's, and I've only been going to him since November.
Well, I don't think you could have had both feet on the scale. If you only weighed 119.
Oh, I'm always a great joke for you,
Well,
Ellen.
no, but I think you would have sense enough to know that you weigh more than 119 pounds.
I have no idea what I weigh. I am not one of those everlastingly jumping on and off scale. Simply telling you what the doctor told me.
Listen, Ruth, I think you ought to go out there and start making that dressing.
Oh, there's plenty of time.
Well, you know,
They're out to walk in here any minute.
It won't take a minute.
It won't hurt to have it made.
But I don't think it's very nice of you to be constantly making fun of me in front of your
Don't
daughter.
touch that oven door. I'll leave it the way I left it. You wasn't a bite to eat in this house this morning when I came in. I had a corner for a whole pile of stuff. I don't know what Cliff thought he was going to do for something to eat when he came in. Unless, of course, they decided to stay in town and get something.
Well, they might wait if they had their lunch in Atlantic City.
Yeah, well, they might. I don't know what they'll do. But he's got the car.
Oh, did he
so
drive down?
Well, so this morning. Except I don't. But my heels bother me a lot if I stand too long.
Well, I don't know what I'm going to do with this left foot of mine. It just has me positively crippled. Oh, I think I must have walked 1,000. Yes. I had to see about getting something for the bridge club next Thursday. It's my turn to give the prize. Well, of course I can't go. I have to give something, and I might just as well see a solitary thing, except a couple of novelty bureau dolls. And they have absolutely no expression. I cannot bear a doll that has no expression. I was simply exhausted by the time I got to the doctor's.
You still go to the doctor?
I'll be the same thing.
Well, is it doing you any good?
The wonder I'm here at all the way my eyes are. The first day, my, Mrs. Kipax, what have you been doing to your eyes? Why, nothing particularly, doctor, that I know of. Why? Oh, he said you've been doing something. He said, I don't think I've ever looked into such tired eyes. So he sent me right over to Dr. Entwistle to have my glasses changed, and I think it's helped my neuralgia a lot. I was telling you about Mayme daytime when she gets back.
Oh, I imagine she must be better or we'd have heard something.
What do you suppose I mean?
Well, I don't know any more about what you'll do than you do, Ollie. Only keep house for her Uncle Cliff.
May couldn't keep house, Laura.
Well, she could. She'd have to do it.
Cliff wouldn't want her to do it.
Yeah, I know. That's the trouble. He has spoiled her. Everything but sit in his parlor and play that piano. I've never heard her play anything yet that I knew what she was playing.
Lydia didn't want her to do housework.
No, I know she didn't.
She wouldn't let her wet her finger.
Yeah, well, now she had let her do a little something. But Cliff has spoiled her every bit as much as her mother ever did.
Well, I certainly think he's foolish if he keeps up this big house for just the two of them.
Well, he might as well be here as somewhere else.
They'll have to see how long they stay. And when they won't stay in a nice house like this, where there are only two people and no children to upset anything, I don't think the chances look too good.
Well, somebody will come along.
I hope so.
You gonna stay for dinner?
We're coming. Ralph's away, you know.
Yeah, when's he coming home?
Well, tomorrow night, I guess, or Monday morning. I wonder if there isn't some kind of an old slipper up there I could put on this left instep of mine is just about killing me.
Well, there must be around up there. Look in one of the closets.
I think I've been dancing too much.
Maybe that's what's pulled you down to 119 pounds.
Nay, Laura, but I am not spiteful enough to stay thin without some exercise.
Ruth,
Yes.
here a minute.
What do you want, Mama?
Listen, she's gone upstairs to hunt for some slippers. You better go up and see what she's doing.
Is she gonna stay for dinner?
Sure she is.
You want me to take that coat off?
No, I want to try it on. Keep her up there. We're here ahead of you.
Oh, you're in there.
Yeah, we're robbing the house.
That's fine. I was just looking for my key.
I got the key from the woman next door.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I called her up yesterday morning to find out if she knew anything about when you were coming home. How is May?
1,000% better. I hardly knew her.
Well, that's nice. Did she come up with you?
Yes, I just dropped him at the corner to pick up some things for dinner.
Well, the dinner's all ready.
That's all.
Ruth and I got it.
Well, that's fine.
Been here since 10.
Who's here?
Yeah, she just went upstairs to fix up a little bit. I'll call her. I've been keeping her at it pretty steadily here today. Ruth! Ollie's here, too.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she just happened to drop by on her way home from town. Ruth?
Yes!
Your Uncle Cliff is home.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, hurry on, too.
You never saw such a chick. It's a relief to my mind. I don't mind telling you. I don't think...
Then she wouldn't have had to bother stopping to get anything. Ruth got
it. She said if there's nothing in the house, you better stop getting. May got acquainted with the hotel down there. Good-natured kind of a woman. She certainly has cheered May up a lot. We brought her up with us.
Does she live around here?
No, she lives in Harrisburg. Here for a few days on the way home. 2 of those suitcases are hers, and I'll have to wait till May gets here to find out where she wants to put her.
Hello, Uncle Cliff.
There we are, all dressed up in our working clothes.
Don't look at me, Cliff. I'm a holy show.
How are you?
I'm fine, Ruth. How are you? How are you, Ollie?
Oh, my dear. I am a crippled woman.
What is the matter with you?
How's my handsome lover?
Fine. Where did you get the slipper?
This is terrible.
Looks like a snowshoe.
I can go skiing in there.
It must be.
It must be, but it was the only thing I could find up there.
Didn't you look in May's room?
Yes, but I imagine she must have all her slippers with her. Where is she, Cliff?
She just stopped at the corner to get some things.
What did she stop at the corner for?
Just some groceries. Should be coming. Here they go.
Listen, Ollie, you better take these things upstairs.
What's the matter?
Well, never mind about that now. Just get them out of sight. And put your shoe back on. Company's coming.
Who is it?
Oh, God knows. Somebody may drag him back up there.
Well, where's my hat?
I don't know. Isn't it where you left it?
I did not leave it there. I suppose you've been trying that on, too, haven't you?
What you been doing? Buying this store out?
Oh, it's $2.38.
Gotcha.
Food, Cliff, for an entire week.
Who paid for it?
Oh, May paid for
She
it.
wanted to, but I wouldn't let her.
Well, you needn't have stopped at all. Your Aunt Laura and Ruth are here, and they've got the dinner already.
Take these things out, will you, Uncle Cliff?
Sure.
And be sure to tell them to put that butter on the ice, Cliff. And the lamb chops, too.
Which are they?
Well, they'll see when they open them.
Oh,
What do you think, Daisy?
your Aunt Ollie's here. Just a minute. Where are you, Laura? Gang go here.
Well, I guess we're gonna have to have dinner now, Daisy.
That's grand.
Just as well, kind of cook I am.
Say, May, I love this room.
This house is nearly 100 years old.
Oh, I love an old-fashioned house.
Nearly every room upstairs is as big as this.
Oh, listen, dear, before I forget it, I owe you $1 for these saltwater taffy.
Oh, I'll give you that for a present.
Oh, you'll do nothing of the kind. Here, take it. I bought them for myself, and I'm not even going to open them.
Sure, I must owe you something.
Oh, you don't know me a thing, darling. I'm not a bit tired, really. Are you?
Not very.
I want to see what's outside here.
Oh, there's nothing but trees
I
here.
adore trees. Aren't they lovely? Did you ever read anything about trees? What do you think about?
Thinking how funny it is not to see Mama here.
Oh, you mustn't think about that, darling. You'll get used to it. I was younger and you when it happened to me, and I had to turn in and keep house for my father and the rest of them.
I don't think I know how to keep house, Dick.
For the next week or so, I love to keep house. Say, listen, dear, is this the Aunt Laura you were telling me about that you like?
Yeah, she doesn't like me either. She's like all the
It's her daughter, isn't she?
Yeah, stingy. She can be.
Well, the one I want to see is your Aunt Olive.
Oh, dear.
I'm dying to get Pete Olive.
Don't get her telling you about her ailment.
Not a chance, darling, not to me.
She has everything.
To me, I have to listen to enough of that in Harrisburg.
I don't think there's a thing the matter with
Of
her.
course there
But
isn't.
she's always on the go.
Hasn't she any children? Say, listen, dear, don't you think we could put up those shades?
Yes, put the...
Grand sunlight.
Hello, May.
Hello, Ruth.
Glad to see you back again. Are you feeling better?
Yes, I feel ever so much better. Thank you.
Mom will be right in. We were just getting the dinner out there.
Oh, isn't that nice of you? Miss Plunkett and I were all ready to get her own. This is Miss Plunkett, Ruth.
How do you do?
Hello, darling.
My cousin, Ruth.
How do you think the patient looks now, Ruth?
Oh, I think she looks wonderful.
You should have seen her when I left her down there.
Have the dead arisen?
Hello, Aunt Dolly.
Now, what do you think of May now?
Well, I'm here, dear, till I look at you. You're transformed. I really hardly know. And I think your Uncle Cliff is a brute.
What?
Not even a postal card from either one of you.
Too good a time.
Miss Daisy May Plunkett, Aunt Dolly.
Oh, I'm so delighted to meet you, Miss.
Hey, down there.
Well, I'm sure you must have some miraculous power, Miss Plunkett, for a
Well, I think it was the air down there.
Boy, it must have been something more than that. I've been to Atlantic City any number of times for poor health, and it's never done me a bit of good.
I think she must have laughed herself well.
But they say that laughing makes terribly thin, oh, painfully so. Must seem perfectly incredible now, I suppose, but I was a perfect rail. And then one day somebody told me, I read it somewhere, that if you laughed, you'd grow fat. So I promptly started to laugh. Oh, the slightest trouble. The first time he looked at me, I burst out laughing. Oh, it does seem perfectly asinine when I think of it now.
Oh, hello, May. How are you feeling?
Hello, Aunt Laura.
Oh, you look fine.
Yes, I feel...
Miss Plunkett, Laura.
How do you do? How do you do?
The lady that May's been going
Look aside, Miss Plunkett, but we've been going here like the... No, Ruth and I took care of that.
Well, that's fine. How soon will dinner be ready, Laura?
In about 10 minutes, I just have to wait for a couple of things.
And suppose I take these things upstairs, May?
All right, Uncle Cliff.
Where you want to put Miss
In
Plunkett?
the front room.
Ah, these two?
Yes, Cliff, that one and the black one.
I see.
I suppose they weigh a ton, don't they, Cliff?
Have your skin.
All right.
They're not so bad.
Thank you. Well, I've got everything in them but the bird cage.
I can take that.
Right now.
I can take care of these.
Now, be careful, I got my electric iron and my I know what her name is. I was introduced to her.
I think they called her Daisy May Plunkett.
Well, that's a good name for her.
She was evidently staying at the same hotel with them down at the shore.
You know, I've never heard such laughing in my life. I could hear you all the way out to the kitchen. And every window in this house wide open. Well, I sincerely hope none of the neighbors happen to be passing by. Certainly wouldn't have sounded like a house where there'd been a funeral only a month ago.
Well, Cliff was laughing, Laura, as much as anybody else.
Yes, you were just quite a joker to have you all laughing so. Especially that way. But
Be a very good-natured...
all about what kind of a person she is, Ollie. All I had to do was look at her. She's got it going again. And you know that, don't you?
How do you know she is?
Well, Cliff told me so, and you saw him take her suitcases upstairs, didn't you?
Yes, but I thought maybe she was just going to stay here overnight on her way home.
That one has no more home, Ollie, than a tomcat. Couldn't you tell that by looking at her?
Well, how long is she going to stay?
From now on, if she can manage it. You should remember what I'm telling you. You heard her call him Cliff, didn't you? And she's only known him 4 days, for he only went down there last Tuesday. That's the kind of person she is. Doesn't want to lose any time. Oh. The woods are full of women. hotels with her ear to the ground. Very likely May's been talking her head off to her down there about what's been going on around here. So she figures that there's a very nice home on the verge of being broken up here, and she's decided to step in and stop it.
Oh, I don't think Cliff will ever marry anybody now, Laura.
Well, he wouldn't have to marry her at all. She could marry him.
I don't think he has any such idea in his head.
Well, then it's up to us to keep her from putting it there.
But why should we, Laura?
Well, because I don't think Cliff ought to get married. Not at his age.
Cliff isn't old.
Well, he's old enough to have married a long time ago if he ever intended to marry.
But how could he, Laura?
Well, others have done it, haven't they?
Yes, but a lot of them have walked away and left their mothers and widowed sisters to shift for themselves, too. Don't forget that. And Cliff did. He stayed right here until the day Mother died. And then he had May on his hands, and he's been very good to us into the bargain, so that I think that now he's in a position.
I guess she's from wherever the last place was she was invited.
I wonder what she does for a living.
Just what she's doing now. Or if she had any occupation, she couldn't be gallivanting around the You know, I love this. I've always loved it. It would just about break my heart to see a strange woman walk into it. That's why I let those two have on to their tricks. I'm positive, Ollie, that both those women had made up their minds they were going to marry Cliff. Particularly the Polish one, good color. And this one upstairs has made up her mind she's going to do the same thing.
Now, you may be entirely mistaken.
Well, no, why else would she come here? Knowing that there wasn't even a woman here to make her a cup of coffee, because she's decided to make her own and his too.
Well, we had better not put up too much of a fuss, because it might have just the opposite effect and put the idea into the woman's head.
Well, we don't have to do anything, Holly. Just don't let her think that we're dying about having her here. And if she's as sharp as I think she is, she'll take the hint and go.
Are you watching your dinner?
Oh, of course I am. It'll be ready in a minute. You're staying, aren't you?
Yes, certainly.
Well, then why don't you put your hat back on again?
I just had it on to tell you the truth. I so used to putting on my shoes and hat at the same time.
Hey, listen, did you notice that dress on May?
Yes, she must have bought that in Atlantic City.
Well, it's a wonder she wouldn't have bought a black one.
I think she's young, Laura, for black.
For her own mother?
Well, she's only 17, and with the summer coming up.
My daughter's in black, and she was only Liddy's niece.
Well, I think she's too young for black, too.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what I think. I think this up there put her up to it. And she's going to put her up to a whole lot more unless one of us is here.
But how can we be, Laura?
Well, we can very easily if we want to. Now, you told me that Ralph wasn't coming back till Monday, didn't you?
Well, Sunday night or Monday morning.
All right, well, you can stay here till then, can't you? That time I'll have things arranged over home so that I can come over.
But I'd have to go over and get a few things.
All right, you can do that, and I'll stay here when you get back.
I'd have to go over right after dinner.
I'll wait for you. Or I don't like the looks of things around here at all.
Do you want me to tell them dinner's ready when I go?
Yes, you might as well. I'll have it on the table by the time they get down.
I'll go. Well, good evening, Mrs. Quebec. Oh, good evening, Mr. Snyder.
Are the folks?
Got in about a half hour?
I thought I'd stop, say hello on the way home.
New Ruth was here, of course.
Yes, she said last night they were coming over.
Well, won't you sit down, Mr. Snyder? I'll call her. She's just upstairs.
Thank you.
Ruth!
Seem to be having a good time up there.
I'm afraid that I'm going to have to go up. Mr. Snyder don't seem to be able to make them hear me.
Well, tell them to let us in on the show.
May has brought home a visitor with her from Atlantic City, and she's the biggest gift. Just excuse me for a minute, Mr. Snyder.
That's all right, Mrs. Quebec.
I'll send Ruth right down, Snyder.
All right, Mrs. Quebec.
Hello, Charlie.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Benner.
Does Ruth know you're here?
Yes, Mrs. Quebec just went up to tell her.
Well, where have you been all afternoon?
Well, I dropped in to see that billiard match I was telling you about.
Well, I thought you'd be here before this.
Well, it wasn't over till after 5.
Well, you're going to stay for dinner, aren't
To
you?
say hello to your Uncle Cliff if he was home.
Oh, well, now, Charlie, the dinner's all ready. I just sent Ollie up to tell the others.
Well, now, I don't want to bother you.
No, it's no bother.
How are you, you?
First rate, thank you.
That's the stuff.
Glad to see you back.
Everything all right down there, all right, Chemical?
Well, pretty good.
That's fine. How about it, Laura? I heard room upstairs dinner was ready.
Yes, I'm just waiting for the rest of it.
Here they come now. What is happening to you up there? Oh, they're not so steep. I used to carry May up and down when she was sick.
Well, you won't carry me up and down, I can tell you that right now. This is Mr. Snyder. Well, how do you do, Mr. Snyder? Miss May
do you do?
Is this your beau?
No, of course it isn't.
Oh, look at the way she's blushing. I bet it is.
No, it isn't. I haven't any love.
Oh, well, that's what she tells us, Miss Plum.
Well, I haven't yet, Laura. You know that as well as I do.
How should I know?
Well, who is it then?
How should I know who it is?
Of course you don't, because it isn't anybody.
Now, may every 17-year-old girl on somebody.
Well, I have my eye on several people, but they don't have to be my boss.
When I was 25, and after that, they didn't know I was in the world. Well, what are you laughing at?
Charlie is Ruth's beau.
Well, isn't that grand? Just as long as he's somebody's beau. Say, I wish I could see you better, Charlie. But they keep it so darn dark in this room with all those shades pulled down.
Well, we'll put him up and let you see him.
I guess I look better in the dark.
Put the shade up there,
Well,
man.
I put him up a while ago, but somebody must have yanked him down again. Say, Cliff, there's the funniest old dope watering this next lawn here I ever saw in my life.
Who's that old falloon?
Oh, what?
Old
Oh,
Loon.
now listen, tell me that's somebody's name.
Sure, that's his name.
Chauncey.
Chauncey. Don't tell me anymore. I haven't.
He waters that lawn twice a day sometimes.
I was whistling to him from the window of the room upstairs. He didn't know where it was coming from. He just tilted his head back and forth like an old canary. Mr. Blue! I can't see him right from here. I gotta go out on the porch.
Don't say anything to him, Daisy.
Oh, I know. I just want to think about how.
Back, Miss Puckett, he shoots that hose over here every once in a while.
Well, don't you go out there, then.
I'm not going out.
I think we were making fun of him.
What's the matter?
She's out there talking to old Saloon.
My God, how did she get talking to him?
Well, she just went out and started shouting across to him.
Well, he'll be turning the hose on her in a minute the way he did on me.
Maybe she would. Maybe she'd come in and stop making a show of herself.
Well, it's a wonder Cliff wouldn't say something to her.
He thinks it's very funny.
She looks to me like some kind of a crazy woman.
She was you who went to her.
Poor Laura.
I'll tell her dinner's ready.
Sure,
Get out of my
here
way.
in a minute.
Come on, folks. Come on. The dinner's ready. Let's. Don't Jojo, isn't it?
I think you made a hit with him, Daisy.
Oh, I think he's grand. I'm crazy about him. Did you see his hat?
He's had that hat since I was a kid.
Well, you better not let him hear you laughing at him, Miss Plunkett, for he's a very wicked old man.
Oh, I think he's grand.
I was out there one evening and he deliberately turned the hose on. For he did.
I think he can't see very well, Ollie.
Oh, he can see a great deal more than he pretends.
Maybe he was flirting with you, Ollie.
Well, if he was wasting his time, for I don't like old men, and I told him so at the time, too.
Now, this dinner is going to be cold unless some of you come out here and eat it.
Coming right along,
Come
Laura.
on, Ruth, what are you waiting for?
Are you ready, Miss Puckett? Okay.
Lead me right in, Cliff. I'm half starved.
Well, you'll have to go some to beat me.
Come on, Charlie.
Say, we look like a wedding going in this way. Go around there, Charles. Ruth, there. That's
The
it.
best man in the bridesmaid.
Come on, now you got to be the flower girl. It's all right. You won't need them at mine. I mean, it's going to be one of those please to make flowers affairs. Well, we got to do this right, you know. This may be the nearest I'll ever get to it. Well, come on, Ollie. Come on, Laura. You can be the matrons of honor.
help cook that dinner.
Part of it.
I see no reason why we shouldn't get along.
Say, listen, Charlie, while you're here tonight...
Yeah, about the houses, you mean?
Yes, about everything. Well, I talked it over with Mama, and she said, you're just talking about the houses and how much we like them, and then tell them about us going to be married. And whenever date he says the houses will be finished, say that was about the time we thought of getting married.
All right, now, it's the single house that we want, isn't it?
Yes, if we can get
Well,
it.
what'll I do? Say we want to rent it or buy it or what?
Don't say anything, one way or the other. Just tell him that we like the houses, we're going to be married, and see what he says. We'll be in a minute.
You better stay in here with me. A chance to speak to him because they're apt to be in and out all the time.
It's my idea right now.
Listen, Charlie, the car's still out there. So ask him when he comes in if he wants you to put it away.
I see the car is still out there, Mr. Messenger. Would you like me to put it away for you?
There's no hurry about it. Some of the girls might like to take a little ride before it gets dark.
Oh, you want to go for a ride, Ruth?
Sure, I'd like to go.
We'll see what the others want to do when they get finished up out there. You got something to smoke, Charlie?
Oh, no, thank you, Mr. Messenger. I've got no cigarettes.
Would you rather have a cigar?
No, thank you, Mr. Messenger.
I feel a little tired after that ride up today.
Now, how long did it take you, Mr. Messenger?
Close on 3 hours, I guess. Got here about 6, I should say.
Uh-huh. Well, pretty good road, I suppose, between here and Atlantic City.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of buildings going on between here and Atlantic.
Quite a boom.
Well, I suppose a new bridge has an awful lot to do with that. Don't you think so, Mr. Messenger?
Mm-hmm.
Coming along, Mr. Messenger.
First rate.
I was over there a week ago.
That's so.
Yes, Charlie and I took a ride over there.
Pretty nice, don't you think?
No, I think they're just beautiful.
wonderful.
I think he's done a nice job on them.
For almost every week since you started to build them.
That's so.
I guess the men over there must think I own one of them.
Yeah. You built them to sell, didn't you, Mr. Messenger?
Been selling them right along.
Yes. I noticed a sold sign on a lot of them.
Takes too long to get anywhere on a rental basis. 2 corner ones went as soon as I began to build, and since then I've sold 7 of the others.
That only leaves 3 of them then, doesn't it?
I guess I'll be going any day now. McCarthy says he expects to finish up around there about the 1st of June.
I'd be interested in getting a hold of that single one, Mr. Messenger.
You mean to buy it?
Anything you like, Mr. Messenger.
Well,
Charlie had something to tell you, Uncle Cliff.
I guess your Uncle Cliff guessed it.
what is it?
We thought about it, Mr. Messenger.
Does your mother know about it, Ruth?
Yes, Mama knows.
We thought put around the 1st of June. And you see, Ruth seems to be so crazy about those houses of yours, I thought I'd speak to you, see what chance was of getting a hold of one.
Say, Cliff, my name is absolutely not out there in that kitchen. They do a thing.
Oh, I thought you were on a vacation.
Well, I thought I was too, but I'm too used to hard work.
I just been telling Miss Cliff we will not allow a visitor to wash dishes.
I'm a grand dishwasher, Cliff. They won't let me even dry. What are you laughing at?
I just said to Charlie here that some of you might like to go for a little ride before I put the car away.
Not for me, thanks, Cliff. I've had enough riding for the rest of my life.
You want to go for a little ride, Ollie?
Oh, I guess I'd like to.
I'll drive you.
You're not allowed to go any faster than 30 miles an hour.
But I'd have to go over to my house for a few things, so first.
You can stop on the way back.
All right.
Hey, you want to go, don't you, Ruth?
Yes.
How about me?
She's upstairs.
When are you going? Right away?
I don't care, whenever you want to.
I'll have to go up and get my things.
I'll go, Laura.
I'll see if May's up there, will you, Ruth?
All right.
See if she wants to go. Want to drive?
Yes, mine, Mr. Well, unless you'd like to yourself.
No, I think I'll stay here and keep Miss Plunkett company.
You don't have to keep me company, Cliff. I'm never lonesome.
There you are.
Thank you, Mr. Messenger. I'll get the car ready.
If I get lonesome, I can talk to myself.
You know what they say about people who talk to themselves, don't you, Daisy?
Well, they say that about me anyway. So I might as well enjoy the privileges of my reputation. You know, it's a funny thing, though, Cliff. People think you're crazy anymore if you laugh. That's a positive fact. I catch people who are looking at me all the time as though I didn't have a grain of sense. And I know your sister Laura here thinks I'm absolutely... Holly thinks I never was here. But I should care. Anytime I can't get a laugh, I want to call it a day. What else is there to it, Cliff, if you don't get a laugh?
Not much, I guess, Daisy.
Nothing at all, as far as I can see. Going around with one of those faces that looks like it got caught in a ringer. Not for me. Give me liberty or give me laughs, and you can have the liberty.
I will have to put my hat on. My hair is so fine, and there's so much of it. My husband would leave me on the spot, Miss Plunkett.
That's a good thing to remember if you ever want to get rid of him. Wish I could play the piano. That was the dream of my life when I was a kid, to take music lessons.
Did you ever take any?
We couldn't afford them. Anyway, I didn't have any time. I was kept too busy minding the other kids and doing the housework. But I was always pretending I could play on the table. Bum, 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 bum. We didn't have a piano.
Yeah. I think it's nice to have a little music around the house.
You don't play, do you, Cliff?
No, I don't play.
Do you play anything at all?
Mean any musical instrument?
Anything. Games or anything.
I don't have time for anything like that,
Well,
Daisy.
you ought to make a little time, Cliff. There's something else in life besides working all your days. And what are you slaving for? To leave it to a lot of relatives to fight over. They haven't seen a chair like that for years.
That's what they used to call a lady's chair, I think.
It looks like a lady. I think I'll sit in it. Make people believe I'm one. Kind of an old lady, though. Oh, listen to the way it's creaking.
Been there since I was a boy.
You know something, Cliff? I can't quite picture you as a boy.
How's that, Daisy?
Oh, I don't know. Somehow or other, you look very much fun.
Oh, I've had some pretty good times, Daisy.
Not many, I'll bet.
No, not so many, but I expect to have a few before I finish up.
Well, I hope you get started soon. While you're young enough to appreciate it.
I'm no spring chicken now, Daisy.
You've got a few good years left, Cliff, and I hope you use them. It seems to me we're young such a short time and old for so long.
They do this world, Daisy.
No, but I think a lot of us could do it oftener than we do.
Seems to me it was always necessary for someone to stand by around here. Somebody had to look after my mother after the girls went, and by the time she went, there was May and her mother here.
Things happen that way sometimes for people. I think a terrible thing to let yourself get cheated out of. Oh, it's all right to do the right thing by other people, but be sure you do the right by yourself. I've been through it all, Cliff. Nobody can tell me anything about it. They used to joke at home if a fella even looked at me. Well, they used to laugh me out of it. One of those eldest daughter things. I wasn't supposed to be married. I was needed at home to look after the others. But the minute one of them decided to go try and stop them, they left me cold out in the alley without a home or a job or anything. Oh, a couple of them offered me a home, but because they wouldn't let their kids kick me in the shins and say nothing, I was just a cranky old maid. And the mothers thought it was funny, so I dropped them all cold after a bit and started my own little dry goods and notions, mostly notions. I didn't know how to do anything else except housework, and it all turned out fine, thank God. I got myself a nice little business and my own dollar, and I'm going to keep it that way, too. And they've been eating out of my hands ever since. But believe me, they don't eat out of my hands unless they earn it. So much for so much. Anytime any of them wants anything from me, they gotta come down to my store and work for it. And it's been the making of a couple of them. This chair is too much of a lady for me. I think I'll play the piano some more.
Are you sorry you didn't marry Daisy?
Sometimes. But if I had, I wouldn't know as much as I know now. Of course, I might have been happier. But I think it's better to be wise than happy, because when you're wise, you got something. But if you're just happy, you haven't. And I think people should get married when they're young. Go through the hard days together. Then they got something to keep them together when the good ones come. To be done out here. Well, I'll do the dishes for you, Laura. You want to go? No, you will not, Miss Bucket. I told you I would not. So it's your own fault if you have to do them all yourself. Well, I'm used to being left flat, as you say. You mean? I've been left flat so many times, I'm all flat now. Dr. Diet or resurrecting. But not anymore. You can put that down in the book. Oh, not if I see it coming. No, sir. If anybody shows any signs of leaving me flat, I beat him to it. Isn't that right, Cliff?
It's the right idea, Daisy, if you can do it.
Oh, you can do it. All you gotta do is get over all your illusions, especially your illusions about your own people. That's what I did, and I've been a happy woman ever since. Ever since I woke up to the fact that they'll let the willing horse pull the load. Aren't you going out for a ride, Miss Bucket? No, I'm going to stay here and keep Cliff company. Aren't you going either, Cliff? No, he's going to stay here with me.
I think I've had enough riding for one day.
Say, Laura, I think I'm going to try to vamp him. Fine, Cliff. Whoa, I never tried to vamp anybody before. I want to see if I'm any good at it. A rather hard subject for a beginner. Oh, somebody will nail him, Laura, don't you worry. I'll bet he's been vamped a dozen times, haven't you, Cliff? Come on. I can't quite see Cliff being vamped. Oh, he wouldn't let you see him, Laura. I know these old birds. They don't miss a trick. Didn't you ever have a girl? Oh, come on. Not to my knowledge, you didn't know. With that hair, I bet he was a regular sheep out here on the boardwalk in Atlantic City about 10 years.
Charlie's gonna run us over to Aunt Ollie's, Mama. She wants to get some things.
Oh, is Charlie out front?
Yes.
I'd better tell him about the clutch.
May says she doesn't want to go.
Is she feeling all right?
Yeah, she's unpacking.
Are you waiting for me?
Miss Plunkett, she asked if you'd come up after you finished your dinner.
All right, dear. I'll go up in a minute.
Come on, Aunt Ollie. Charlie's in the car.
I won't be but a few minutes, Lord. I just have to get a few things.
Are you sure you don't want to go, Daisy?
Oh, yes, Cliff. I'm sure. I don't want to feel I can't quite see Cliff in advance. No, I'm having a music lesson here, Laura. I'm sorry to tell you this, this, Miss Plunkett, but this piano is supposed to be closed. We had a death in this house.
How long are you going to close it for, Laura?
It's customary to close the piano for a year.
Oh, that's something I could never understand, closing a piano for a whole year.
Well, I certainly don't think it would sound very music coming from a house where there'd been a funeral within the month.
Well, there's nothing wrong with music, Laura, if it's the right kind. They have music at funerals.
Well, one must occasionally consider the feelings of others in this world, Miss Plunkett.
Oh, I know all about considering the feelings of others. That's why I think it's silly.
The neighbors would certainly have a very fine impression of this family, I must say.
Well, that shouldn't worry you too much, Laura. They're not your neighbors.
It was my sister who died, Miss Plunkett.
Well, that shouldn't worry you too much either, Laura.
Well, I happen to be one of the kind that it does worry.
Well, May told me you didn't speak to your sister for nearly 4 years before she died. So why should you go into such heavy mourning?
The piano is to be closed, Miss Plunkett, whether it meets with your approval or not. I wish you'd remember that.
Close it up, Laura. I can't play it anyway.
I also wish you'd remember that my name is Miss Fenner. I'm not in the habit of calling people that I've only known a couple of hours by their first name, and I expect them to call me by mine.
It's necessary, Laura, for you to tell me what your name is?
Well, evidently you don't know it.
Oh, I know it.
Use it.
I'll do better than that for you, Laura, if you're dumb enough to drive me. Oh, here, sometime backwards, right in front of your brother.
Did you come here to make trouble in this family, Miss Plunkett?
No, I'll leave that to you, Laura. You're good at that. I'm going to see that you don't make any trouble for me while you're about it. This is not your house, and I've been invited here for a week. And my name is Daisy Mayme Plunkett. And unless your brother lets me see that he doesn't want me here, I'm going to plunk right here till my week is up.
You all finished up out there yet, Laura?
Pretty nearly. I only have a few more things to put away.
Should have gone along with them. Get a little air.
Well, somebody had to stay on and clean up out here, Cliff.
Well, Miss Plunkett said she'd finish up for you.
Well, I don't think Miss Plunkett would have accepted an invitation to stay here, Cliff, with the idea of doing dishes.
Well, May explained the situation here to her when she invited you.
Well, I don't think she would have made it very clear.
She said she explained it thoroughly, so I think Miss Plunkett knew what she was getting into.
Well, I'm surprised that she came here at all, knowing that there wouldn't be anybody here to do anything for her.
Well, she came to help May with the housework and cheer her up a bit till she got used to the idea of her mother not being here anymore.
Well, I don't think that May should have played on Miss Plunkett's sympathies that way.
Well, now, how do you figure that?
Well, she certainly must know that we would never allow a perfect stranger who is here on a visit to do housework. It's the look of the thing I'm thinking about, Cliff. I'd be perfectly mortified.
Well,
I don't think you want to tell Miss Plunkett that you don't want her to inconvenience herself in any way out of consideration for May. For Ollie and I can come over here and give you a hand, you know, until you get somebody. And Ruth would be very happy to come over when I can.
well, it seems to me that that'd be a pretty funny thing to say to a person.
Miss Plunkett is far too sensible to misunderstand you, Cliff. You
I'm
know.
going down, Daisy.
All right, doll.
Well, of course you can suit yourself about it, Cliff, but I do think that somebody ought to say something.
Where have you been keeping yourself, May?
I've been changing my dress and unpacking.
Miss Plunkett upstairs?
Yes, she'll be down in a minute. Isn't Laura going to be here all next week, Uncle Cliff?
Why, I don't know, May.
You didn't hear what she said out there at the dinner table? About one of them staying here until you get somebody?
Well, now that you're home and Miss Plunkett is here, it might be if one of them came over to help out.
Well, we don't need them to help out, Uncle Cliff. We're not babies. Daisy and I can't have any fun fun of them watching every move we make.
Well, now, that's not the way to look at it, eh?
Well, why are they getting so helpful all of a sudden? We've been doing anything here since Mama died, and before that, we hardly ever saw any of them.
Look very nice to have Miss Plunkett doing housework.
Daisy would love to do it, Uncle. That's what she told me when she said she'd come up for the week. She said she'd kept house for years for brothers and sisters when she was home.
Well, why don't you tell your Aunt Laura that?
I'll tell her. Tell her more than that. If she gives Daisy any more of her looks, she wants her to get insulted and leave here.
Oh, now, don't talk that way.
That's just what she wants, Uncle Cliff, and Daisy can see it as well as I can. Why, I was apologizing to her upstairs a few minutes ago for the way they acted at the dinner table tonight.
What were they doing?
The looks they were giving each other every time Daisy said anything to you. Reason I went upstairs.
Now, what are you raving about?
Oh, same thing I was raving to you about upstairs a minute ago.
You better have a saltwater taffy. Calm your nerves.
I don't want any now, Daisy, thanks.
You want a saltwater taffy, Cliff?
No, thank you, Daisy. I never eat candy.
You don't know what you're missing.
Daisy,
What?
Daisy, May's got an idea in her head that her aunts have been giving you funny looks.
So they have.
I didn't know there was so many looks. They were everything from black to pale blue.
Now, you both must be mistaken, Daisy. There's no reason in the world why Laura and Ollie should be giving anybody any funny looks.
They weren't funny looks, Cliff. They were dirty looks.
Why should they?
We know why, don't we, Daisy?
Well, tell me, May. You
Don't
know,
listen to her.
Laura was saying to me here, just before you came down, that I ought to say something to Daisy about not inconveniencing herself. She thinks you're just staying here out of consideration for May.
Oh, that's the best I've heard yet.
No, I mean, she feels that perhaps May has played on your sympathies by telling you that there's nobody to do anything around here, and she thinks I ought to tell you not to let that influence you. Because if you have a house or a business that needs tending to, Daisy, well, you see what I mean, don't you,
Oh,
Daisy?
yes, I see what you mean.
Daisy was going to stay in Atlantic City another week anyway, Uncle Cliff. Weren't you, Daisy?
Oh, yes, I don't have any special time to get home.
Well, that's what you meant, Daisy. And I guess the funny looks that May imagined she saw were just Laura and Ollie's embarrassment that you might think that they expected you to do any housework around here.
Oh, that's all right, Cliff. I didn't come to visit them anyway. I came to visit May.
And I want you to know you are more than welcome here, Daisy.
I know I am, Cliff.
And if Laura and Ollie don't want to put themselves out to wait on us, they don't have to. We can get along very nicely without them.
Oh, thank you, Uncle Cliff. Say, want to go around and see those big trees at the back of the house, Daisy?
Grand, I'd love to, darling. But before we go, there's something I wish you'd do for me, May.
What?
Play me something on the piano.
Oh, I love it, Daisy.
May will play if you anytime. She likes to play.
I'd like to hear her play right now.
She often plays for us here in the
I
evening.
think I'll enjoy the trees more if I hear her play.
Play something nice now, May.
What do you want me to play, Daisy?
Oh, I don't care anything at all, just so it's nippy. Play me that thing you always play me in Atlantic.
Pursues?
Pursues, that's the one, with all the doodads in it.
Hey, you got lighting up there, May?
I think so.
You're just in time for the concert, Laura.
You're playing the piano, May.
I asked you to play something for me. I was feeling kind of romantic.
Isn't this piano to be closed, Cliff?
Why, I hadn't thought about it at all, Laura, to tell you the truth.
Well, I certainly think it ought to be closed for a while.
Been closed for a month.
It's customary, May, to close a piano for a year after a death in the family.
Well, it can't be closed for a year, Aunt Laura, for half practice, and Mama wouldn't want me to stop that.
Well, here's will have a very good opinion of us.
Well, I think we'll have to leave that to May, Laura.
Holy smoke, I thought somebody was trying to take a shot at me.
Wait a minute! Couldn't find the push button. How are you, Mr. Mr. Balloon.
That button the door with my key.
Well, that's all right, Mr. Balloon. Come right in.
I broke my glasses yesterday. I'm blind as a kingfish ever since.
That's too bad.
It was the holes that done it.
Is that so?
It got away from me for a minute. I twisted in my hand.
I see.
Took them off and smashed them on the flags.
Sit down, Mr. Balloon.
Well, thank you kindly, sir. I will for a minute. Good evening, ladies.
Good evening, Mr.
I
Balloon.
wanted to see that young woman from Harrisburg that I was talking to a little while ago.
She's right here, Balloon.
Oh, well, yes, I see now. Well, now, fine-looking young woman.
Can I take those things out of your way?
No, thank you. Just the same, I keep them by me, not making you a short answer. I can't stay but a minute. It's getting on close now to my bedtime.
I guess you get to bed pretty early, don't you, Mr. Balloon?
What's that?
I say, I guess you get to bed pretty early.
That's right, pretty early, 8 o'clock, summer and winter.
Is that so?
Yes, ma'am, 365 days in the year, 8 to 5, that's my schedule.
Keep you out of a lot of mischief with those hours, Mr. Balloon.
That's right, but I got into plenty in my time.
How long has it been since you were in Harrisburg, Mr.
What's that?
How long has it been since you were in Harrisburg?
1882.
That's a good while ago.
That's right, a good many years ago. A lot of changes up that way, I guess.
Yes, there are.
I went up there on the Lancaster County letter carriers excursion in 1882.
Did ya?
Yeah, used to raise lots of hell in those days.
You know my sister, Mrs. Kipax, Mr. Balloon.
Oh, yes. How do you do, Mrs. Pickaxe?
How do you do?
She's a fat one, ain't she?
Yes, she's fatter than Laura.
That's right, I know, Laurie. That's Mrs. Finner, ain't it?
That's right.
A thin woman.
Yes, she's pretty thin.
I know her, but I can't say as I recognize Mrs. Skipjack.
Now, she hasn't been around here much lately.
Say,
I say, she hasn't been around here much lately.
oh, that was not Mrs. Finner either this good while back.
She's here now.
Oh, is that so? I'd like to see her.
May, tell your Aunt Laura, Mr. Balloon would like to see her.
The home folks, once they get a man of their own.
Did you, yes, Mr. Balloon?
Oh, no, ma'am. I lived in the city.
That's so.
That's where I was first married in the year 1867. 2 years after the war of the rebellion. And if I live to the 28th day of this coming August, I'll be 91.
That's a very good age, Mr. Balloon.
That's right, so it is. You know, cats at that age won't play with the whisk broom.
Do your legs bother you, Mr. Balloon?
Won't carry me nowhere. Oh, shut the hell.
That's too bad.
Well, that's where it shows in the legs, but outside of that, I'm as good as ever.
That's fine.
It's fit as a fiddle. Eat anything at all and sleep 8 hours out of the 24.
You're a wonder, Mr. Balloon.
That's right. There ain't many like me.
So indeed there are.
Not many. Say, what's your name, young woman?
My name is Plunkett. P-L-U-N-K-E-T-T. Plunkett.
Never heard of it.
Well, there are a lot of people up in Harrisburg by that name.
Yeah, lots of funny names up that way.
There are.
Funny people, too.
That's right.
You are a married lady, Miss Plunkett.
No, I'm not, Mr. Falloon.
Well, now it's time you were if you're gonna be.
Mr. Balloon wanted to see you, Laura.
Please say you, Laurie.
You know Mrs. Fenner, Mr. Balloon?
Yes. How do you do, Mrs. Fenner?
How do you do?
I was just saying to your brother here that I haven't seen you now this good while back.
Well, I live on the other side of town.
Oh, yes. Nice place. I've never been over that way.
Don't you get out much nowadays, Miss?
Legs won't carry me.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah, it's the legs it is.
Well, I guess something has to come out first, Mr. Balloon.
That's right. You know, something has to give sometime, or we'd be here forever. The time I was given out, Mrs. Fenner, 91 years old, 28th day of this coming August.
That's quite a good age.
Yeah, that's right, quite a good age. I see a lot of change.
Oh.
I remember you when you was a little girl.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah. That's a good while ago. Swing back and forth on the gate out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you. Now,
I'm as old as my little finger.
Jose.
I say I'm old enough.
Yeah, you're getting along.
Well, I guess we're all doing that, Mr. Balloon.
You know, your sister that lived here used to say she wanted to see me live to be 100.
You mean Mrs. Phillips?
That's right, the mother of the little fair-haired girl.
Yes, that was Liddy.
Yes. Where is that little girl now?
She's right here, Mr. Balloon.
Oh, yes, I didn't see you. But how are you, little girl?
Very well, thank you, Mr. Falloon.
Well, that's good. That's good. Have you got a beau yet?
No, sir, I haven't.
Well, if you're anything like the rest of them, some fella come along someday and away you'll go. That's the way it goes.
You and Liddy were weren't you, Mr. Balloon?
That's right. Nice woman.
Yes, she was. Yes, I think she was.
That's right. Nice woman. There's a big change around here without her, I guess.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I guess you'll have to be looking around now for a wife, won't you, Mr. Manager?
Well, I hadn't thought much about that yet, Mr. Balloon.
Well, don't think too long about it. Make some kind of life for yourself. A nice home here, no use breaking it up. Here's a fine young woman already.
Don't wish anything like that on him, Mr. Balloon.
Mustn't waste time. You know, one woman's as good as another once you get yeah, I've had 3 of them. I'd have another if my legs had been.
Most people don't think that way about marriage, Mr. Balloon.
Shouldn't think too much about marriage at all. Just go and do it. The chances of it turning out all right are just as good that way as if you thought on it from now to kingdom come.
Well, I guess that's so, Mr. Balloon.
Well, just as good. Just as good. Goodbye, young woman.
Goodbye, Mr. Balloon.
I gotta be getting along home now. It's getting on close to my bedtime.
Well, you be sure and come back and see us again before I go.
I can kind of will. Now, young woman, you set your cap for this man here. Good, steady man.
You mustn't be putting her up to any tricks, Mr. Balloon.
You need a woman now to get things done, you know. You mustn't waste time. If you don't put somebody in, somebody will come in. That's the way it goes. Now, it's her wife's place, and she might as well be in it. Good night to you all.
Good night, Mr. Balloon.
Did you find your way all right without your glasses?
All right, yes, I'm not that far gone yet.
Well, I suppose we'll be having that as a steady thing now that your friend's here.
What?
Why, that dreadful old man coming over here. I knew the first thing we'd know he'd be over here when she went out to talk to him tonight before dinner.
He's often been here before.
When has he been here?
Why, he used to come over and talk with Mama.
Well, I never saw him if he did.
Well, you weren't here very much when Mama was here.
Well, I certainly hope he doesn't come over again while I am here.
Well, you don't have to see him, Aunt Laura.
I'll have to come here when he comes.
Well, you don't have to be here.
Well, I think somebody has to be here, Dave, from the looks of things.
What?
Look after your Uncle Cliff, if for nothing else.
Why didn't you look after him all last month when he was here by himself?
You and your friend weren't here all
Well, you
last
certainly don't have to look after us, Aunt Laura. We can look after ourselves.
Don't make me laugh, man.
I don't see anything to laugh about. When I asked Dave, told her we were going to wait on ourselves, and that's the reason she came. And Uncle Cliff says that if you and Aunt Ollie can't wait on her without giving her a lot of funny looks, then we can do very nicely without you.
Well, I don't believe your Uncle Cliff said anything of the
Well,
kind.
ask him when he comes in if he
Are you coming, May?
Yes, I'm coming.
What's the matter? Just a minute ago.
You didn't take much of a ride.
I didn't take any at all.
Why not?
Because They went off and left me. Why, Ruth and her beau.
What happened to do that?
Because they wanted to get rid of me, I suppose.
Oh, now, Ollie, don't start imagining things.
I'm not imagining things. I felt it the minute ever I got into the car. Ruth hardly spoke 2 words to me all the way over. I went into my house to get my things, and when I came out...
Well, I'm sure something.
I had a very good mind not to come back here at all.
Oh, well, I imagine that would have just about suited quite a few.
Mind to do it whether it would have suited them or not.
Listen, Ollie. May just got through telling me that Cliff told her that unless you and I can be a bit more civil to Miss Plunkett, we can go home and stay there. That's what she told me.
I haven't been doing anything to the woman.
You've been doing as much as I've been doing.
No, I have not been doing as much as you've been doing. I don't tell a lie.
You haven't been looking at her funny?
I did not look at her funny until you looked at her funny.
And why did you go over and...
You told me to. You got me all upset saying she'd come over here to marry Cliff.
And don't you think that's what she did come here for?
I don't know whether she did or not.
Oh.
But even if she did, Laura, that is Cliff's business and not ours. And if he does not want us here, I think you are very, very foolish to stay.
Well, I'm staying whether I'm foolish or not.
Well, I'm not. And I think that you are very short-sighted, Laura, if you have any trouble with Cliff. For I don't think you can afford it, any more than I can.
You talk as if Cliff were keeping me.
Well, he's helped to keep you, Laura, many a time. You know that just as well as I do.
You don't know anything about what Cliff has done for me.
Oh, but I do. You live in a rented house, and you have a delicate husband. Your son is on his own, and your daughter is going to be married just as soon as how you've all been waiting for in the hopes that he'd give him one as a wedding present. Well, between you and me, Laura, I think somebody's going to have to give him something. For from what I've heard, the young man doesn't even have a job. But Ruth will marry him whether you like it or not. And that's the reason, if I were you, I'd be wiser than to have any trouble with Cliff. For Ruth's sake, as well as your own.
Why didn't you wait for your Aunt Ollie?
When?
Over at the house, she's absolutely furious that you drove away and left her.
Well, we didn't understand. She expected us to wait
Well,
for her.
evidently she did.
We thought she was going to pack her things.
No. She said perfectly well that she wanted to go for a drive with you, that you just wanted to get rid of her.
She's out of her mind.
Well, she's in quite a temper.
Mama, she doesn't want to ride in that car anyway when the top is up, for she kept pestering Charlie the whole way over to put it down. She thinks she looks good in that black veil, and she wants people to see her. Care whether she hears me or
Now
not.
listen, Ruth, she just told me here that she knew all about your getting married, that you'd be married whenever Cliff's houses were finished, that that's what you were waiting for.
Charlie and I talked to him tonight.
Yeah, when?
Right after...
Did you say anything about the houses?
I had to come in and get something for my shoulder. Really for me out here.
Yes, late this evening.
Are you leaving town, Ollie?
No, dear. I'm going home.
Oh, well, do you want me to tell May and Cliff when I go out?
No, thank you, dear. That won't be necessary. I'll be over again in a day or two.
Well, I hope you'll come over before I go. I wouldn't like to get away without seeing you again, Ollie.
No, I'll be over again. Oh, Miss Plunkett. Yes. Miss Plunkett, if you and May should want to go any place while you're here, I'd be only too delighted to come over and look after things for you if you'll just give me a call.
Man.
I haven't so very much to do these days.
Did you just get here, Mrs. Kippax, with this doc for you?
Mr. Snyder, you will never stop for me again.
Charlie, Ruth says if you got the ice cream to bring it out to her.
Yes, I got a quart and a pint. I thought that would be enough.
Yeah, that's plenty. She'll keep it on the ice until Cliff and the rest of them come in.
Well, I had to come in and get something for my shoulders.
Yeah, I was thinking about you out there with nothing around you.
It's too chilly out there along the water.
I was going to bring you out something.
No, I was over here for dinner. And then Cliff wanted to take May and Miss Plunkett out to see the new houses, so I said I'd stay and clean up.
I thought Miss Plunkett was going home last Monday.
She's going tomorrow.
Well, that's what she said last week, and she's still here. And she'll keep right on being here if she gets any encouragement. You remember what I'm telling you.
Well, that's up to Cliff, Laura.
What I said is that she should be able to walk into my mother's house and do as she pleases.
Oh, it's been a long time since this was Mother's house.
It'll always be Mother's house as far as I'm concerned.
But if Cliff marries, somebody will have to come into it, and from what I've seen of her, he could go further and do worse.
You've changed your tune considerably in the past 2 weeks.
No, I haven't at all. Oh, but she made May a new dress this week that I think is the prettiest dress she's ever had. She had it on tonight.
Yes. She'll make a lovely stepmother for May, I'm sure. She'll soon have her as common as herself.
I don't think Miss Plunkett is common. I think she's just free with people.
Yeah, she's free. And easy, Ollie. It's in her face. The idea of calling people by their first names the very first minute she meets them. She'd be a fine person to introduce to somebody.
Well, now, you may not have to introduce her to anybody, Laura, for they are not married yet.
Well, they soon will be if she can manage it. I felt at the very minute I knew she was coming up here. And when I heard her laugh, I was sure of it. People aren't called Daisy for nothing.
By the way, I saw Ruth's marriage license in the paper yesterday.
Yes, it was in.
When are they going to be married?
Next Wednesday. That's what I wanted to see Cliff about. They're not having any kind of a wedding. They're doing everything as inexpensive as possible.
Where are they going? With you?
Oh, yes. I suppose so, until they can make up their minds. Say, have you got any hot tea out there? I've got a headache.
No, but I can make you some in just a minute.
6 weeks I've had a headache every day.
Yeah, it's here, Daisy. I left it on the piano.
Thanks, doll.
There was money paid down on some of those houses, Daisy, before they were even started.
Well, houses are pretty scarce, Cliff, and those are very nice.
Yes, I think they make a nice-looking house.
Want your paper, Uncle Cliff?
Oh, yes, give me there, May. Something I'd like to see.
Daisy says she likes this house better than the new ones, Uncle Cliff. Didn't you, Daisy?
Well, that's because I like an old-fashioned house. Come here a minute, dear.
I do, too, personally, but most people like them more up to date.
That's all right. But there's something set and sensible looking about an old-fashioned house. Like it's been in the business of living a long time.
Do you live in an old-fashioned house, Daisy?
Oh, I grew up in one. But now I live in 2 rooms over my store.
All by yourself?
All by myself. Nobody divorced me.
Don't you ever get lonesome?
Oh, sometimes. But I've got too much to do to think about that.
Daisy says she thinks this house is very restful.
Don't bother him. He's reading his paper.
Just tell her what you said.
No, he doesn't want to hear everything I say.
Oh, I'd like to hear that, for Uncle Cliff loves this house.
You love it too, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't find many like it if you was to look for them.
Which do you like best?
Oh, I like both of them best.
Oh, you can never get you to say anything.
Well, if I said I like mine best,
Would not.
and if I said I like yours best, you'd want to give it to me.
No, isn't there any room in the house that you like better than the others?
I like this room. I think if I were dying and they let me sit in this room for 15 minutes, I'd come to again.
You were tired yesterday, Daisy, when we got in.
Well, it's no wonder we looked in almost every store in the city for that lace.
Oh, pretty nearly everyone.
But then I sat in this room a little while and I felt fresh as a daisy.
Well, you are a daisy. Daisy.
Kind of a wilted one now.
Oh, you're not Daisy.
I am so, Daisy.
Oh, I think you're nice looking, Daisy. Don't you think she is, Uncle Cliff?
Yeah, what are you trying to do? Start something?
What'd you say, May?
Pay any attention to what she
I
said.
say, don't you think Daisy's nice looking? She says she isn't.
Well, what am I supposed to say to that, Daisy?
Well, don't say anything too sudden, Cliff. For I'm sitting in an antique here, and if I go over backwards, it's all off.
Don't you, Uncle Cliff?
Yes. I think Daisy's very nice looking.
Oh, now, don't kid me, Cliff, just 'cause I'm from Harrisburg.
Oh, sure I do.
Now, see,
Now, let the poor man read his paper. And play me something on the piano like a nice job.
What do you want me to play?
I don't care, anything at all. That must be a good cigar you're smoking, Cliff.
That's Corona.
I love the smell of a good cigar.
I always smoke these.
Kitty, what is it?
Daisy's going away tomorrow.
No, no. She has to go sometime, May.
I don't see why she should.
She has a business to look after, May. She can't neglect that.
Terribly lonesome in this house when she goes. We won't have any fun anymore.
Well, she can't stay here forever, May. Now, you know that as well as I do.
I don't see why she couldn't. She's got lots of room.
But she lives in Harrisburg.
Like Harrisburg, Uncle Clifford, she says so. She says nobody could like it.
Well, it's her home, May, whether she likes it or not.
She hasn't any home, Uncle Cliff. She lives in 2 rooms, all by herself. And she loves this house. She says when she hears the rain on those trees outside the window upstairs, she says she just wants to pass right out of the picture.
Well, I don't know how we're going to keep her here for you, May.
I think she'd stay if you'd ask her. She stayed the last time you asked her.
Oh, it isn't fair to ask her again, May. She stayed a week longer already than she intended.
I mean, to ask her to stay here all the time.
I can't do that, May. She's got a business to
Well,
look
other people have
after.
businesses too, and they go live in other places.
Well, they don't unless they're going to get married or
Well, why
something.
couldn't Daisy get married? You could marry her. Why couldn't you?
Well, there's no reason why I couldn't, but I thought you didn't want me to get married. You always said so.
I wouldn't mind if it was Daisy. Old Mr. Falloon says you ought to marry Daisy. He ought to know he's over 90 years old.
Daisy doesn't want to get married, May.
How do you know?
She said so. First night she was here, she said she was a free woman, and that was the way it was going to stay.
Well, I don't think she knew then that she'd like it so well here. Will I ask her?
Ask her what, eh?
If she'd stay if you'd marry her.
No! Of course! You mustn't ask Daisy anything like that.
Why not?
Well, because you mustn't. If anyone would ask Daisy anything like that, I'm the one that should ask.
Well,
now you gotta think about it.
Oh, Mr. Blue says you shouldn't think about it. Do it. He's been married 3 times.
Maybe he wouldn't have done it so often if he'd thought a little more.
Let me do it again. Only for his legs. So it couldn't have been so terrible.
Hello, Cliff.
Hello, Laura.
Hello, May.
Hello.
I didn't know you were over here.
Well, I was just out in the kitchen having some tea. I had a bit of a headache. What's the matter with May?
Oh, she's all broken up about Miss Plunkett going home tomorrow.
Oh, is Miss Plunkett still here, Cliff?
Yes. May wanted her to stay a little longer.
I thought she'd only intended to stay a week.
That's all she did, intend to stay when she came.
What are you thinking about, Cliff? Is something troubling you?
No, just trying to reason with May about Miss Plunkett going home.
What did she want her to do, stay here forever?
That's what she wants, I think.
Well, she'd soon get tired of that, I'm afraid. Oh, Cliff, there's something that I wanted to talk to you about before anybody came in. Ruth and Charlie are going to be over after a bit. I thought I'd like to talk to you before they do. I suppose you know, of course, that they're going to be married.
Yes, they said something about it here one night a couple weeks ago.
Yes, Ruth said she was going to tell you.
What's he do for a living, Laura?
Why, he's a chemist by profession, I believe. At least that's what he was working on when he came down here.
Still down at the Allied Chemical?
Well, no, I understood Ruth to say that he left there about a month ago.
What's he doing now?
Well, I haven't asked Ruth what he's been doing lately, but I'm sure he's doing something, for he's very much of a hustler. He's had some awfully good positions since he's been here.
I better hang on to one of them if he's thinking about getting married and buying a house.
Well, he's very sensible about that, Cliff, and so is Ruth.
Doesn't seem very sensible to be thinking about buying a house when he hasn't even got a job.
Yeah, well, I have
You can't buy houses with talk, Laura. Has he got any money?
Well, I don't know anything about that, Cliff, whether he does or whether he doesn't, but Ruth has a little. And she'd like very much to put it down on a house. She says that she cannot see the sense of paying rent all your life and ended up with nothing at the finish.
Hello, Uncle Cliff.
Hello, Ruth. Good evening, Mr. Messenger.
May.
She's upstairs helping Miss Plunkett to pack.
Oh, is Miss Plunkett still here?
Yeah, she's going home tomorrow.
Oh, I thought she'd gone long ago. Sit down, Charlie.
Ruth, I was just talking to your Uncle Cliff about what you and I were talking about.
What do you think about it, Uncle Cliff?
Well, I can't say I think much about it, Ruth.
Why not?
I don't think it's good business.
Well, now, Mr. Messenger, do you think it's wise to be too businesslike about it?
Well, it depends on circumstances, but I think it's only fair to give a thought to the business end if you don't with someone else.
Business.
From what I understand, the young man there hasn't even got a job.
Well, I'm taking a job on Monday.
How long are you going to keep it?
That depends on the job, I
I
suppose.
understand you've had quite a few jobs since you've been here.
Yes, well, there wasn't any particular future in that I could see.
Well, I don't think there's any particular future in any job if you don't stick long enough with it to make one. Now, if the two of you are so set on getting married, I don't see why you don't go in and live with Ruth's mother for a while till you get things going for you. That's a pretty big house. It only gets 4 of you.
Well, Ruth doesn't seem to want to do that.
Well, you didn't want it either, Mom.
Because I don't think it's right for young people to move in on other people. Besides, you've always said you hated that house.
I know I did. I never liked it.
It doesn't seem to me, Ruth. Question of what you gotta do. Those houses of mine are selling for $12,000 apiece. I can't see how you're going to keep up payments on a debt like that and keep it going in the meantime when you haven't even got a job.
But I have got a job, Uncle Cliff.
What are you going to do, stick at it after you're married?
Well, I thought about staying at it for a while, at least till Charlie gets started. Why, I know lots of girls who stayed at their positions after they're
I'm
married.
surprised at you, Ruth. I thought you had more sense. Taking a burden like that on your shoulders without a chance in the world of meeting it.
Well, I think if people absolutely know that they've got something to meet, they manage to do it some way.
How are you going to do it, Ruth, when he hasn't even got a job?
Well, he has a job, Uncle Cliff. He starts out on Monday.
What job has he got?
Tell him about it, Charlie.
Well, it's the proposition that the Stoddard Transportation Company is putting on the market.
What kind of a proposition?
It's a collapsible barrel.
A collapsible what?
Barrel! A collapsible barrel for the transportation of fluid commodities to shipping centers.
Oh, what? What do they want it to collapse for?
They don't want it to collapse all until it's empty.
Now, Charlie, don't get mad.
He is treating this thing like it was a duck.
I don't know anything about it, that's why I'm asking you.
And I'm trying to tell you just cut out the kidding.
What happens to the barrel after it collapses?
They can remit it to the shipper without taking up any space.
What is it, a patent of some sort?
Yes, a fellow from Brooklyn got the idea. And the Stoddard Transportation Company bought it from him.
What are you going to do, go out and try and sell it?
Well, I'm going to try to sell some stock in it. Now, I know a couple of fellows that are cleaning up on a strict commission salary.
What if you find there's no future in that for you? What about the payments on the house then?
Well, I'm not the one that's talking about buying a house, Mr. Messenger. It's Ruth that's talking about that.
But you'd live in it, wouldn't you?
I expect to live with my wife, naturally.
And I'd be expected to keep a roof over you until you found a job? And Ruth would have to keep you? That's a
Anything at a time. Nobody has to keep me.
Be quiet, Charlie.
Mama.
Don't you ever get me
What
wrong on
else
that.
would it amount to?
I haven't spent any nights in the park so far.
Well, listen, Uncle Flip. Charlie's perfectly right in saying that I'm the one who talked about
There's no use saying anything.
That's the best type of fancy on that serious.
Silly talk about.
Charlie, where are you going?
Ruth, I am getting out of here.
Don't be silly, kid. Listen.
Listen,
What
Charlie.
am I supposed to do? Stand here and let him bawl me out?
Uncle Cliff didn't mean anything by that.
Anyone would think I had to sit out in the alley. Until he gave me a house.
No, it's just that he did.
Well, I don't think I'd let you live in his house now, even if he did give it to you. No, I wouldn't! I had a house to live in before I ever saw this burn.
I think you better write home for it, boy, if you intend to settle around here.
Well, I might not settle around here, boy. What do you think of that?
Fine. I think it's a good idea.
Ruth, you come along here.
Charlie, where are you going?
That is my business.
See where he goes.
You better go after him quick, Ruth. I think he's trying to get away from you.
He'll be back here in a minute apologizing.
Well, he is a fine prospect for Ruth to be teaming up with. I'm surprised that you don't ever let her get mixed up with
Well,
me.
heaven knows I've talked my head off to her
I'll
about
bet
it.
they haven't got $1,000 even. He doesn't like to work. That's a great outlook for the man they buy a house from.
Well, I'll tell you the way Ruth feels about it, Cliff. Oh, I suppose she'd kill me if she knew I said anything, but, well, this is what she thinks. She says that she knows you'll be wanting to give her a wedding present, and that if you could make some arrangement with her that would make it possible for her to get hold of one of those houses, no matter how long it took to pay for it, she'd like that better than any other kind of wedding present you could give her.
I didn't intend to give her any present that would cost $12,000, Laura.
No, she didn't mean give it to her. She simply meant that if you knew how bad she wanted it, you might stretch a point to make it possible for her to get one for herself.
So she could hand it over to him?
Oh, now Ruth's too smart ever to do a thing like
But
that.
she is not smart enough, Laura, to see through a bird like that. I haven't much faith in what she'd do.
Well, it's entirely up to you, Cliff. It's your house.
Yes, and I'm going to see that he's not in it, too.
But you know what girls are. Always comparing and, well, Ruth feels that you've always done so much for May around here and that she's your niece as well as May.
May is an altogether different matter. She had no father. Now she has no mother. And if I wanted to do something for her, that's my business. And there's nothing coming to Ruth from me, Laura, anyhow. I haven't seen her more than half a dozen times in the last 5 years. Why hasn't she come over here once in a while and kept May company?
Well, that may not have altogether been Ruth's fault, you know.
Oh, I don't know
Cliff.
whose fault it is, but it's somebody's fault. Anyway, I don't see why I should be expected to hand houses to everybody that wants one. I think I have done my share as it is.
Ooh. What are you going to do about this house, Cliff?
I'm gonna live in it, of course. I gotta live somewhere.
I mean about getting somebody to run it.
Oh, I'll get somebody.
Well, I was thinking the other day, This is only a suggestion, you understand, but when Ruth goes and all, how'd you feel about me coming in here? Well, you'd have to have somebody, and I don't think you have any idea, any realization of what a job it is to get a good housekeeper. Of course, Dan and I had paid our way over here just as we are now, and I thought it would save you the everlasting bother of looking for a housekeeper and at the same time split the living expenses for both of us. See,
What are you two in such solemn conference about?
we were just talking about different things.
What was the matter with young Mr. Snyder a while ago?
Oh, he just went into one of his tempers.
I don't believe I've ever heard such loud talk in this house before.
Well, you've heard Miss Plunkett a couple of times, haven't you?
Yes, but it wasn't that kind of talk.
I was telling him a few truths, Ollie. They were a little too much for him.
What are those things you've got there?
They're just some things of Miss Plunkett's I was pressing for her. What was Cliff saying to Mr. Snyder, Laura?
Only that he disapproved of his getting married till he has some kind of an outlook.
Well, this woman that comes to me on Fridays works in the same house where he has a room, and she says that the landlady told her he never works anywhere.
Well, I suppose if people believed everything they heard, nobody would ever get married.
Well, I'm simply telling you what the woman told me. She says he's again there are times when he doesn't seem to have a clinic.
I was just coming down for those things, Aunt.
I just got through.
Hello, Laura.
Good evening.
Now let me take these right on up. There's some more of them out there.
Are there?
Yes, you can bring those.
Are they already on?
Yes, they're there on the side table.
You going home now, Ollie?
I'm just going to get my hat.
I'll wait for you.
I won't be 5 minutes.
Well, Miss Plunkett, I understand you're going tomorrow.
Yes, I'm going, Laura. Now you'll have the field all to yourself again. Until Cliff gets a new housekeeper. Then I suppose you'll start in on her the way you started in on me.
Why don't you see you, Miss Plunkett?
Oh, now don't try to be meek, Laura. I like you better when you're yourself. You were running around here weeks ago when I came for fear I was going to steal your brother. And you would be here all the time to watch me.
Well, I don't know that I've done very much watching in the past 2 weeks.
Because you didn't want any trouble with your brother. For you, that wouldn't pay you. So you packed up and went home and took a chance I'd do the same thing. As if your brother wasn't safer from me than he was from you. I work for mine. I hang on to some man all her days.
I went home because I was given to understand that you wanted to wait on yourself.
Oh, so we did, Laura. But that's not the reason you went home. And to wait on us wasn't the reason you came over here. May told me you haven't been inside this house for the last 4 years.
Well, there were reasons for that, Miss Plunkett, that you know nothing about.
I know the principal one, Laura. There was nothing to get. But now that your sister's gone, you're very much in evidence because you want to come in here yourself. And you're frightened to death, Cliff. That's your game, Laura. I knew it before I was in here 5 minutes ago.
Why should I want to come in here? I have a home of my own.
And a down children who wouldn't lose a 5-cent piece by you, and you know it. That's the kind of children women like you raise, Laura. And that's the reason you want to saddle yourself on your brother now that he's free to marry.
Well, he didn't marry you anyway.
Oh, and you'll see to it that he doesn't by insulting me and every other woman that he's civil to.
Around here, Miss Plunkett.
Do you think I'm blind, Laura? Do you think I didn't catch some of those looks you shot at me the first night I was here and trying to get Cliff to blundering telling me to go for fear I'd be in here if you cared if I was inconvenienced or not? That's where you made your mistake, Laura. I'd have been out of here a week ago only for that move. I didn't mind the looks. They were a laugh to me. And I expected them anyway. From when I heard that other thing, I decided to stay here just for devilment. Stay here longer,
A report about me.
She didn't have to tell me much, Laura. Just one or two things. I could add all the rest. I have a sister who's so much like you could be twins. I had no more idea about marrying your brother than you did, but you put it in my mind. And that's a dangerous thing to do, Laura. For people's minds have a way of putting ideas into practice. And I think it must let Cliff have a life of his own for a change.
Oh, don't meet me on the stairs, Davy. I'm terribly superstitious.
Are you going home now, Ollie?
Yes, Ember. It must be nearly 8 o'clock, and Ralph said he'd be home by 9. Now, did you get all those things?
Oh, yes, I got it right here, Ollie.
I must get my purse. Are you ready to go, Laura?
Yes. I was waiting for you.
I'll be over again in a day or two. Just tell them I said night.
Well, aren't you going to say goodbye to me?
Oh, my dear. You're going away tomorrow, aren't you?
Right early.
Darling lady, whatever will I do without you?
Well, you'll just have to write me a letter sometime, Ollie. Let me know you're living.
Indeed, I don't. But I do think it's dreadful that you can't stay a bit longer.
Oh, I've stayed here too long already.
Worked long enough, Daisy.
Well, what am I going to do, Ollie? I can't get some to keep me.
Well, maybe the next time I see you, you will have a man to keep you.
Oh,
And a very good man, too.
oh, don't wish that on anybody.
Yes, I do. And I think he'd be very lucky, no matter who he was.
No, I don't think it's in the books for me, Ollie.
Well, I'm going to hope so anyway. Goodbye, dear. And I'm going to think very seriously about what you said about my hair.
I think you've got just the head and the neck for it.
Maybe the next time you see me, it'll be Bob. Good night.
Daisy! Oh, Daisy!
What's the matter?
I just talked with Uncle Eb, and he's going to ask you. He says he'll be down in a minute.
Ask me what? We're asking you for, dear. I told you, I've stayed here too long already. Now, what is this nut kid there?
I didn't say anything, did I?
Oh, he's been handing me a line of talk that's got me all non-compass McKinnon.
Well, she doesn't like the idea of you going home, Daisy.
Well, I'm not too crazy about Cliff, to tell you the truth, but after bumming a whole month, but what's a poor girl gonna do? I'm a working woman.
I don't think you've been bumming here for the last Daisy.
Now, that was fine for me, Cliff. I had a grand time, and I didn't mind the housework. I'm used to it, especially in a house like this, where there's so much light and air, and things look like something when you finish.
Do you want me to take these things upstairs for you, Daisy?
Yes, I wish you would. Put them with the others. I'll pack them when I come up. A person doesn't know how much junk he's got till he has to pack it up to go away somewhere. That kid thinks all I've got to do now is share with her. The business will take...
Well, I'll tell you what I was thinking, Daisy. The three of us seem to get along so well together here, and you seem to like this place so well. I was wondering if you'd care to change your business.
How do you mean, Cliff?
Take you as my wife, if you'd care to.
You want to marry me, Cliff?
Why not?
Because you don't. You're just saying that because May wants me here.
No, not Daisy. I've been thinking about asking you for over a week now.
Oh, now listen, Cliff. It's been 25 years. I was 20. You're a good-looking man.
Well, it's been 30 years since I was 20, and I think you're a good-looking woman.
Now I know you're kidding me.
No, I'm not, Daisy.
Now listen, come on. With the veil and the orange blossoms. My God, there'd be a riot in Harrisburg.
Well, I'd like you to think it over, Daisy. I haven't exactly been in a position to marry up till now, but I think it's a thing for me to do right now. You and May seem to get along so well together, and you heard old Falloon say that if I didn't bring somebody in, somebody'd come in.
Oh, well, from what I've seen around here, Cliff, I think it'd be a wise thing for you to do.
Oh, well, I think so myself, and the more I've thought about it, the more I've realized that it might be a very difficult matter to find somebody who... I just don't know how to say it to you, Daisy. Of course, the whole proposition may not even appeal to you. I remember that first night you came here, you said you were a free woman, and that was the way it was going to stay.
Well, I guess we say a lot of things in our lifetime, Cliff, that we don't mean.
I think you'd be happy here, Daisy.
I'd be happy, Cliff.
We do our best to make you so anyhow. May is fond of you, and personally, I'd like to feel to have an eye to her, and as far as you're concerned, I guess we're both sensible enough to make it go.
Well, I guess we wouldn't have to worry about that, Cliff. And I think it's very nice of you to ask me.
Well, I think it would be a lot nicer, Daisy, if you try and think favorably of it.
Oh, I will, Cliff. I guess I'd be foolish if I didn't. I've always thought I'd like to be married, Cliff, to a nice, steady man who smokes good cigars and live in an old-fashioned house with trees around it and just sit there evening while some doll, the daughter, plays the piano and I make dresses for her.
Oh, I think May'd be more than glad to play the piano for you if you made dresses for her.
This is it. And then I guess I owe it to myself.
How about that, May?
What?
Well, Daisy says she'll marry me and stay here if you'll play the piano for her. She says she'll make dresses for you while you play.
Anything like that, dear. Just in and out and get it over with.
Do you want me to play something on the piano for you?
Oh, would you do that for me, kid?
And I'll blow cigar smoke at you, Daisy.
That'll be grand. I'm in the ladies' chair. I've always wanted to be a lady.